Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're going to take a look at a rather interesting document. The topic is about our inner world, what you could call our little theater. Or, the term the document uses is delusion. The title of this document is Delusion, the Evil Fruit of Sensation, Impulse, and Confidence. It sounds a bit serious, with a warning tone, but it's actually discussing a situation you and I might encounter, how a good intention or a good relationship can be unknowingly ruined by our own inner workings, step by step. This is something I understand, good intentions leading to bad results, but the root cause is in our own minds. Yes, that's right. So today's task is to break down these keywords with you: delusion, sensation, impulse, and confidence. We'll see how they create a series of negative chain reactions we might not have expected, especially in our interpersonal interactions. The document provides some vivid examples that will help us see this process clearly. So, let's dive right into the material. It starts by throwing out a core idea that I find quite subversive. What's that? It says the biggest feature of delusion isn't that we passively receive wrong information, but that we actively script it. This phrase, actively script, is very accurate. And this scripting process is often full of confidence, but the outcome is often far from reality. So, it's not just that we thought something wrong, it's that we're deeply and confidently self-directing a script that might be far from the truth. Exactly. The word scripting is crucial, it's dynamic. Based on our current sensations and impulses, we very confidently construct a narrative. We are the scriptwriters ourselves. That's right, and we often write tragedies or farces without even realizing it. So delusion itself inherently contains elements like sensation, impulse, and confidence. The turning point of a gift. The document has an example about a piece of clothing that, I think, perfectly describes this inner scripting process. A piece of clothing changing a relationship sounds very dramatic. It is, quite dramatic. The story goes something like this: two people had a very good relationship, so good that one of them, when they saw their friend really liked a precious piece of their clothing, had a momentary sensation. They were very generous and confident and gave the clothing to the other person. Wow, that sounds like a beautiful, good-hearted start. It has sensation, impulse, and confidence. Yes, the feeling was great. But the twist came quickly. After a while, the person who gave the clothing away suddenly felt in a certain important situation that they absolutely had to wear that specific piece of clothing. This thought? Yes. Then they frantically searched everywhere and couldn't find it. They suddenly remembered they had given it away. The timing of this memory is crucial. Why? Because they had a strong need at that moment, right? But the reality was the clothing wasn't with them. That's right, and that's when the inner drama began. Exactly. The original act of giving was reinterpreted by themselves. Reinterpreted into what? The sensation made a 180-degree turn, from the original generosity and warmth to anger. The document even used the word hatred. Wow, hatred, that serious? Yes. They started to feel that their friend had messed up their big day and became fixated, believing only that piece of clothing would do. But this anger couldn't be directed at the friend, since they were the one who gave it away. Exactly, they couldn't say it. And this turned into an internal injury. Internal injury? The impulse to get it back couldn't be expressed, so the energy transformed into internal resentment and dissatisfaction. Then they started to find the other person more and more displeasing. The document describes it interestingly, saying they even came to dislike the friend's facial features. Dislike their facial features? Wow, that's too dramatic. The same act of giving clothes? Yes, in the giver's heart, it created two extremes: the ultimate good, feeling great when they gave it, and the ultimate evil, the resentment when they needed it. What a completely opposite evaluation. This is the powerful contagion of negative emotions. And the document points out what's even more problematic: these negative thoughts, feeling that the other person is bad, regretting the original decision, are recalled repeatedly and strengthened constantly. It's like replaying that unpleasant feeling in your mind over and over, and maybe even adding more drama to it. Exactly. The number and intensity of these inner malicious acts often far exceed the good-willed thought from the moment the gift was given. This directly points to the core reason why relationships sometimes go downhill. Many people lament, "I used to be so good to them." Yes, I hear that often. But according to this document, the root might lie in this kind of negative weaving led by delusion. So it sounds like we're particularly good at remembering and magnifying bad feelings, and we tend to forget the good ones. It seems there is this tendency. The good things are easily forgotten or taken for granted. The 5 poisons, corrupting the foundation. The document also mentions that this situation doesn't just happen between friends, it's also a very common scenario in marriages. Many marriages also start based on strong feelings, sensation, and maybe a momentary impulse, and confidence about the future. Yes, that's right. But after marriage, daily friction and disappointments accumulate slowly. If you habitually magnify those negative feelings, the so-called malicious acts, and rarely reminisce about and cherish the good times or create positive interactions, the feeling toward your partner will naturally change. And this is often a two-way street. Both people might be scripting a narrative of dissatisfaction about the other. Are there any deeper psychological factors at play behind this negative weaving? Yes. The document introduces a few concepts, possibly from Buddhist and psychological studies, to explain the so-called 5 poisons, also known as kleshas: greed, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. Using the clothing example, we can see how they operate. Greed, raga loba, the desire to get the clothing back when it's desperately needed, or the possessiveness that regrets giving it away. Hatred, diva dosa, the anger that arises from not being able to get it, blaming the friend for messing things up. Ignorance, delusion, moha avidya, not understanding the situation, stubbornly believing that only that specific piece of clothing will do, and failing to see other possibilities. Arrogance, pride, mana, the self-centeredness, thinking, this is such an important occasion for me, and I deserve to wear that clothing. Doubt, visakitsa, starting to harbor negative suspicions about the friend, such as, did you not even cherish such a good piece of clothing I gave you? These elements intertwine, making that negative story incredibly convincing to oneself. The document has an even deeper reminder: our sensations themselves are often already infiltrated by these 5 poisons. Sensations aren't neutral? You could say that. If, when you first gave the clothing away, that generosity already contained a little bit of greed for a good self-image, or if later, when you needed the clothing, you didn't have such a strong attachment, then the subsequent hatred, arrogance, and doubt might not have been stimulated so intensely. It's like a latent motive coloring our feelings. The self-destructive consequences. The document says that operating this way for a long time has serious consequences. It doesn't just affect your mood. It affects your image. People might think you're a person who always complains and has a bad expression. It also depletes what's called good fortune or merit. You can understand this as accumulating some positive energy or good luck. It also affects your wisdom because you're constantly trapped in a mistaken perception. Ultimately, of course, interpersonal relationships will decline. It really sounds like digging a hole for yourself. Exactly. Even seemingly good deeds, like giving a gift or doing charity, if their foundation is built on unstable delusion, sensation, impulse, and confidence, especially that kind of self-righteous confidence, then the seeds of trouble might already be sown. The document describes it as good deeds brewing subsequent trouble. If that foundation is unstable, like easily changing sensations or a desire for self-gratification, then when the situation changes, the foundation may collapse. The document uses a shocking metaphor, digging up one's ancestral graves. It describes how you might work hard to accumulate a mountain of good fortune, like a mountain of merit, and then use subsequent negative delusions, hatred, and doubt, the malicious acts, to constantly deplete and destroy it. The document also has an example about eating, which feels more commonplace. You eat something delicious and feel good, and your stomach is clearly full, but your mind still wants to eat. Greed. If someone nearby naturally eats the last bit of food you had mentally reserved, even if you couldn't eat it, you might instantly get angry. You feel like it was yours. The physical sensation is satisfaction, but the mental sensation is attachment. In this my stuff was touched mindset, how can you have a good mood? So, the conclusion is that if delusion, sensation, impulse, and confidence are not observed and aren't guided by wisdom, their nature is closer to trouble rather than pure wisdom. If you act entirely dependent on them, even if you start with good intentions, it's very easy for that goodwill or the foundation of the relationship to collapse once the situation changes. And the most ironic part is that delusion itself is empty and illusory, like a theater in your mind. Yes, vague and insubstantial, but it can cause real pain, the pain of not getting what you want, the pain of separation from loved ones, and the torment of being consumed by chaotic thoughts and feelings. The document uses a phrase that I think is a great description: staring at a reflection and becoming exhausted. It's like when your eyes are tired and you see illusions, but you mistake them for reality and are led around by them. The way out: observation without involvement. If this pattern is so common and so destructive, what can we do? The document emphasizes that first, you must clearly recognize the illusory nature and harm of this pattern. Then, try to stop the pattern. The document uses the strong phrase, get rid of it. But when sensations and impulses come, their power is very strong. How can you stop it? The document offers a metaphor. Imagine those tumultuous delusions, sensations, and impulses in your mind as persistent thugs on the street. They're shouting in your mind, pulling at you, and tempting you. The advice is that you see them, you know they're there, but you do not heed them, do not follow them, and do not get involved with them. The key is not to feel or pay attention. This point needs clarification. It doesn't mean you should become numb or suppress the feeling, that would be harmful. Rather, it's about cultivating the ability to observe without getting involved. First, you need to recognize that many of these intense sensations come from the delusion script. They're illusory, a mirage. Then, in action, it's like seeing the thugs on the street. You know they're there, but you don't argue with them or let them drag you away. You just see them and continue on your own path. You don't give them energy or act on them. The document believes this is the quickest way to achieve freedom from this inner predicament. Because as long as you don't pay attention or follow, the vicious cycle of delusion, sensation, and impulse creating even stronger sensations will find it harder to continue. Summary and final thought. The core idea is that delusion is an inner drama that we actively script, often driven by our sensations, impulses, and confidence, which can distort reality and destroy relationships. This scripting process is closely tied to the 5 poisons: greed, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. Although delusion is illusory, it causes real pain and depletes our positive potential good fortune. The way out is to practice an attitude of seeing but not heeding, not following, and not getting involved with these inner negative forces. Hearing this breakdown certainly gives a deeper understanding and a warning about our own inner ups and downs. The document suggests that when faced with a surge of sensations, impulses, and delusions, the key is not to heed them and not to get involved. But frankly, this isn't easy to do. In your own daily life, the next time a strong negative feeling or impulse arises, for example, anger, injustice towards someone, or strong attachment to something, what would not getting involved actually look like for you? Would it be a deliberate practice of observational distance, a technique of actively shifting your attention, or do you have another inner method for coping?